Thank you. Thank you. We're going to North Carolina, and then we're going to win in Michigan, and then we're going to go to South Carolina. Well, last year at this time, I was recuperating from a hip operation. It is great to be back. And I want to thank Randy Weingarten for coming out here and really putting the blowtorch on the Republicans who are screwing the teachers out of their jobs. I thought a lot about what I was going to say, and then I decided I just went to hear Van Jones put on a tremendous presentation about where we need to go from here, and it made me rethink a lot of things. You're going to hear from him tomorrow. But I was asked by a lot of people, well, are you going to support the president for re-election? There's a lot of angst in here about whether the president has done what he's supposed to do, and frustration and so forth. And I began to think about this in the context of what Van was talking about. Yeah, I'm going to support the president. Let's get on to the next topic. When I was the chairman of the Democratic Party, I used to say our job is to elect Democrats and then hold their feet to the fire so they behave like Democrats, and that's exactly what we're going to do. This is not about electing the president. This is about keeping our promises to each other about building a stronger America and turning away from the hate wing of the Republican Party, and stop using fear and hate to motivate us, and use the things that motivated us in 2008 and in 2004, a sense that we are all one nation and that the future is ours. It does not belong to the Tea Party, over 55, white and Christian. It belongs to a diverse America made up of all kinds of human beings. That is the future and the legacy of your generation. So I was going to come up here and trash the Chamber of Commerce, which I'll do just a little bit. No, Chevron gave the American Chamber of Commerce $2 million. Think about that when you need to get gas the next time. Prudential gave the American Chamber of Commerce $2 million to run those disgusting ads they ran. Think about that when you buy insurance. In fact, go online. There's some pretty good sites that will tell you who donated to the American Chamber of Commerce, which has now become the finance arm of the Republican Party. But much as I enjoy taking a blowtorch to the Republicans, that's not what I want to talk about. In 2008, something extraordinary happened in this country. More people who were under 35 went to the polls than people who were over 65. And the result of that was that you elected the first president of a new generation. Barack Obama is the president of a new generation, just like Jack Kennedy, who's my father's age, was the first president of our generation. But it's not about electing presidents. There has been a lot of angst about whether all the promises are kept, whether we really have change we can believe in. We ought not to think about people in Washington as responsible for the change that we can believe in. We are responsible for the change that we can believe in. Change does not come from Washington, D.C. Change comes from the bottom up, and we will make change in our own communities, and then it will spread outwards. In many ways, all this grousing about the administration this and the administration that is a stage we have to go through. We did not get here by worrying about what was happening in Washington. We got here because we were determined to build a new America. And building that new America is emblematic of this generation of under 35-year-olds who made such an enormous difference in electing a new president and a new generation. Something else about these under 35-year-olds that went to the polls and elected Barack Obama, they're not Democrats. 63% of them under 35, of the under 35 vote went to Barack Obama. You are not Democrats. You are Americans. And what we are trying to build here is, this is not about voting for the Democratic Party. Now, I'm not the DNC chair anymore. I can say anything I damn well please. although I can't say that I haven't done that in the past. The truth is that there is a new reality that we have to embrace. There is something more important than politics. Politics is critical, obviously, especially during elections. If you don't think so, ask the working people of Wisconsin what politics did to them in the last election. Politics makes a big difference, but this is not about politics. This is about keeping our promise to ourselves. Politicians follow, they don't lead. We lead. Collectively, all of us. When people in this new generation want better schools, they go to New Orleans in all kinds of different schools. Charter schools. Randy was just on here, right? Charter schools were originally started as a way of getting rid of public unions. You know who runs a great charter school in the city of New York and East New York that I do a little work for? The American Federation of Teachers. We can make this work together, these changes, but it's going to come from grassroots organizations like, I might add, the American Federation of Teachers and SEIU, some of these great labor unions, not the ones that don't do anything, but the ones that work so hard time and time again to make changes. Individuals make change. They go into their communities. They rebuild the schools. I remember even in Iowa, and I don't take credit for this, the Iowa folks take credit for this, we had Dean Corps. They put on T-shirts, Howard Dean for president. Instead of going out and shaking hands with people, they went and cleaned up streams. I tell people that the internet has made politicians irrelevant. If you get 100 people together and you can go do something, you don't have to ask the permission of the city council to do it anymore. That is what the internet has enabled this generation to do, and we need to focus on doing that. It is not, I don't want to ignore politics, but we need to transcend politics. There is something in this country that is bigger than all of us, and it isn't government. It is our vision. Right now, the Republican Party is trying to roll us back to the 50s, the 1850s. It's true. You don't believe that? The Tea Party took over the school board in Raleigh, North Carolina. The first thing they did is get rid of the desegregation plan. Somebody said the Tea Party doesn't believe in social values. They may not believe in social values, but the values that they have sure aren't the values of America today. But they are an ever-shrinking minority, and they'll get more dangerous, more desperate as they shrink, because demographics are not on their side, and neither is intolerance or hate the way to build a great nation. So we do need to be politically active, because the money that gets cut out of the budget, taken away from old people who need health care and kids who need daycare, so that the Republican sponsors like the insurance industry and their great corporate friends and the Koch brothers can get more money and keep what they made. Yeah, yes, that was a Freudian slip. The truth is, we do need to be involved in politics. But we need to be involved in politics. We don't need to be of politics. We need to be in our communities building things every single day. And we also need, one of the great points that Van made, and you'll hear some of this, is that we need to work together. This is not a plea for election year unity, although that would be nice for a change. This is a plea to work together in a relatively leaderless movement that's bigger than ourselves. What are our ideals as a generation of Americans who believes in the American ideal? They are community, where we believe that we're all in this together. They are security, which does not simply extend to military security, it extends to getting off foreign oil. It extends to building a sustainable economy, not just here, but around the rest of the world. And there is liberty. And by liberty, we mean not just the freedom to do whatever we want. It means the freedom from religious bigots telling us how we're going to live our lives. It means freedom from overzealous legislators telling our daughters and our wives how they're going to lead their lives. These are American values: community, security, and liberty. They are our values. The American people can be fooled in the short term, but they can't be fooled in the long term. Since 2010, we've had the far right try to get rid of Medicare. Now, what they did was not change Medicare. They basically have asked to turn Medicare over to the private insurance industry, and seniors know it. We have had them defund practically every program there is for women's reproductive health care. We have had them not just take away salaries and benefits from average working people, the firefighters and the police and the teachers that Randy was talking about. We've had them take away basic human rights that are recognized in the Geneva Conventions and the labor codes and the World Labor Standards. The American people know that the Republicans are not on their side. The American people know that the Tea Party is not on their side. The American people know that Michelle Bachmann and Mitt Romney are not on their side. The question is, who is on their side? And the fact of the matter is, I don't think we can count on politicians to have spine to stand up and say and do the right thing and stand up to the moneyed interests. We have to do that. We know what Citizens United did. These people who complain about judicial activism. We have 4 right-wing judicial activists in the Supreme Court, 1 conservative, and 4 people who actually care what the Constitution says. Not in one place in the Constitution of the United States of America not one place have I yet to find that a corporation has the same rights as a person. Is not in the Constitution of the United States of America. So, what I think we need to do is, yes, we need to be involved in politics. Yes, you need to keep doing what you're doing. You need to keep holding politicians' feet to the fire. You need to be making them accountable for misdeeds and non-deeds. But we also need a greater vision while we're doing this. We do not want to get sucked into the daily debates that go on cable television. And I participate in those, and it's a lot of fun. That is not what this is about. This is not even what it's on Fox. I don't say Fox News because, of course, that's an oxymoron. We cannot afford to get caught up in the day by day and the who's doing what to who and the who's saying what to who. We need to have, at all times when we're in the trenches fighting, we need to have a greater vision for what we're trying to accomplish. And what we're trying to accomplish is, once again, for America to take the lead in building real democracies, and we have to start at home. I spent a little time in Kosovo a few months ago, and they were complaining about the politicians being corrupt because they were getting money from big interests. And I said, you know, the only difference between Kosovo and the United States is it's legal in the United States and it's considered corruption over here. This is a great democracy. We need to restore that democracy by getting big corporations and money, private money, out of the political process. And we need to work on that every single day. And we can do that in referendum. If you want to improve the system, start with your own school. We can make those changes. If you want to improve the environment, yes, politics is great. We don't want to not do politics, but we want to have something to show for it at the end. If the climate change bill doesn't pass, at least we ought to make sure that we've got some programs in our own community which make it more sustainable. So this is not anymore just about building a big picture movement. It is about building millions and millions of small picture movements, all contributing to a very large picture where we rebuild America. We are going to take on the Republicans. We're going to say all kinds of incendiary, outrageous things. Don't worry, I'll keep you amused, I promise, through the campaigns. But I want there to be a bigger picture with a bigger vision. We do have to have a vision based on hope, and we do have to reject the politics of hate and anger. We will never be a great country if what we're surviving on is hate and anger, and that's why the Tea Party and the right-wing Republicans will never win. We have not yet earned the right to lead this country with a vision of hope and a vision of change and a vision of a community and a vision of security and a vision of unity, liberty. We can earn that right, but we have to have that bigger picture that's bigger than us in mind as we do it. Thanks very much.